Shohei Ohtani didn't get injured, and yet, for a brief moment, the entire game shifted. Not because of the throw itself, but because of what it revealed. A routine pickoff attempt, a ball that gets away. It hits Ohtani on the elbow. The explanation is simple, a rookie mistake. But in a game decided by inches, that one misfire carried more weight than it seemed, because this wasn't just about accuracy. It was about control, of mechanics, of emotion, and of the moment itself. Early in the game between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, everything felt relatively standard: competitive pace, clean execution, no major swings in momentum. Then the play happens. Toronto rookie catcher Brandon Valenzuela attempts a pickoff throw to first base after an Ohtani strike. The ball sails low and strikes Ohtani on the elbow. Ohtani reacts immediately. Visible frustration, a pause in the game. He's checked. No injury. Play resumes. Later, Valenzuela apologizes. Ohtani doesn't clearly acknowledge it. On paper, it ends there, but it doesn't. The obvious narrative is easy to accept. This is a rookie under pressure, elevated to the starting role due to injuries, trying to be aggressive, trying to control the running game. He rushes the throw. Mechanics break down. The ball gets away. Accidents happen. And given the situation, Toronto dealing with multiple injuries, relying on inexperienced players, the margin for error is already thin. So the explanation feels complete. A young catcher makes a mistake in a high-speed situation. But that version skips over something critical, because pickoff throws from a catcher aren't just about arm strength or accuracy. They're about timing and decision layering, and that's where this play becomes more revealing. Let's break it down. When a catcher calls for or initiates a pickoff to first, there are multiple checkpoints happening in seconds. Footwork alignment, arm slot, release angle, communication with the first baseman, awareness of the hitter in the box. Now add Ohtani to that equation. He's not just another batter. He alters the tempo of every defensive decision. His presence speeds things up, mentally, not physically. That's where the breakdown begins. Valenzuela didn't just miss the throw. He rushed the sequence leading up to it. The throw being low is the result. The cause is earlier. His base wasn't fully set. His release point dropped. And most importantly, he committed to the throw before stabilizing the situation. That's not just inexperience. That's decision acceleration under pressure. Here's what most people missed. The mistake didn't start with the throw. It started with the decision to throw at all. In that moment, there was no clear necessity to force a high-risk pickoff, no elite base runner threatening an immediate steal, no chaotic lead demanding urgency. But the presence of Ohtani changes perception. Suddenly, routine becomes urgent, and urgency creates errors. That's the hidden factor, perceived pressure overriding actual game context. Once that happens, execution is already compromised, and in this case, it showed up in the worst possible way: loss of control over the baseball. Once Ohtani is hit, the emotional layer enters the game, and this is where things subtly shift. Not in a dramatic scoreboard-changing way, but in tone. Ohtani's reaction matters. Not because of anger, but because of focus disruption. Even a brief pause forces a reset in rhythm. For pitchers, that matters. For hitters, that matters. And for a rookie catcher already dealing with elevated pressure, it matters even more. Because now, every subsequent action carries added weight. Every throw is under scrutiny. Every decision feels amplified. The turning point isn't the impact. It's what happens immediately after. Valenzuela has a chance to regain control, slow the game down, reset mechanics, reestablish confidence. Instead, the moment lingers. Not visibly, but internally. And that's where small mistakes begin to stack. Because baseball rarely punishes you instantly. It waits, and then it compounds. This is where elite teams separate themselves. The Dodgers don't need a dramatic response. They don't need retaliation or confrontation. They just need stability. They let the moment pass and continue executing. That's the difference. One side is trying to recover from a disruption. The other side is unaffected by it. Over the course of a game, that gap grows. For Valenzuela, this moment is bigger than the box score. He apologized. That's expected. But the real evaluation isn't about intent. It's about process. At the major league level, especially in high-leverage environments, you're not judged on whether mistakes happen. You're judged on why they happen. And this one traces back to a single issue: speeding up when the game didn't require it. For Toronto, the broader picture is even more concerning. Injuries have already forced them into unstable roles. Players are being asked to perform beyond their expected readiness. That doesn't just affect talent, it affects decision-making consistency. When roles aren't settled, execution becomes volatile. And volatility leads to moments like this. Not catastrophic on their own, but dangerous when repeated. For Ohtani, the takeaway is different. He wasn't injured, but the reaction tells you something. He expects precision. And more importantly, he's aware of how small lapses can escalate, because he operates in that same margin where 1 inch, 1 second, one decision can define an outcome. That's why the frustration was immediate, not emotional, but analytical. Because at that level, you recognize when a play isn't just off, it's avoidable. In the end, this wasn't a controversy. It wasn't intentional, but it also wasn't meaningless. It was a snapshot of how quickly control can slip in a major league game. One rushed decision, one flawed sequence, one moment where the game speeds up just enough to expose a weakness. And in a sport defined by precision, that's all it takes. Not a home run, not a highlight. Just a single throw slightly off, revealing everything underneath it. It looked like a routine throw. It turned into something a lot bigger. Because when Shohei Ohtani grabbed his elbow and froze, the entire stadium held its breath. Not again. Not him. One mistake, one low throw, and suddenly everything felt at risk. The moment came fast. A strike delivered, runner on first. Rookie catcher Brandon Valenzuela pops up, fires to first. Except the throw never gets there clean. It dips, hard, late, straight into Ohtani's elbow. Immediate reaction. Pain, frustration. And just like that, a regular season game between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers turns into something tense. Because this isn't just any player getting hit. This is the face of the sport. A two-way star already coming off major elbow surgery. The margin for error? 0. Ohtani stayed in, no serious injury, but his reaction said everything. He wasn't brushing it off, and neither were the fans. Dodgers fans saw intent, carelessness at best, something worse at worst. Blue Jays fans fired back. Just a rookie mistake. Nothing more. And that's where the tension spikes. Because this matchup already had history. Back in 2024, the Toronto Blue Jays thought they had Ohtani. Rumors, flights, momentum. Then overnight, he signs with LA Animales. 10 years, $700 million. And just like that, Toronto became the team that almost had him. Fast forward to the 2025 World Series, 7 games. Chaos. Emotions boiling over. The Dodgers win it in Toronto. That didn't fade. So when Ohtani gets hit like that, it doesn't feel random. It feels loaded. Now here's the turning point. After the game, Valenzuela spoke. I said sorry to him. I don't know if he took it, but I said sorry. That's it. No long explanation, no defense, just a quick apology and uncertainty. That uncertainty is what fuels everything. Because in baseball, intent is everything. And right now, nobody agrees on what this was, an accident from a rookie suddenly thrown into pressure, or a moment that got away from him in the worst possible way. Valenzuela wasn't even supposed to be here. Injuries forced him into the spotlight. Alejandro Kirk goes down, the roster shifts, the pressure lands on a rookie's shoulders, and in one split second, he's in the middle of the biggest controversy of the game. That's how fast it changes. The impact goes beyond this play. For the Dodgers, it's a reminder of how fragile everything is. Their season runs through Ohtani's health. Every pitch, every swing, every throw near him, it all matters. For the Blue Jays, it adds another layer to a season already falling apart. Injuries everywhere, chaos building, and now attention that they didn't want. And for Ohtani, it's different. Because now every opponent, every close play, every inside pitch gets watched a little closer. Not just by him, by everyone. One throw. One mistake. One moment that didn't look like much until it did. Because when it involves Shohei Ohtani, nothing stays small for long.